Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Caprice guide, which is going to tell you how to build Caprice, how you should level up her abilities, as well as a few tips and tricks that I can give you about Caprice. So to start out with, we'll talk about how to build Caprice, but in order to know how to build Caprice, you must learn a little bit about Caprice. So Caprice is a unique character, being a highly mobile damage caster, which means that all her abilities do damage. One of them does in fact give a stun, which is going to be her W, and she just basically drops an anchor down and gives a stun. So keeping in mind that she is a caster, obviously you're going to probably want to go ahead and invest in mana, especially since a lot of her stuff at max rank costs at least 100 mana to cast. It's just the way of being a caster. So, keeping in mind you're going to want mana, you're also going to want power, because that's going to amplify the magic damage that you do with your abilities, which is going to be your highest dealing damage, in fact, especially with volatility towards the late game, just stacking immensely quickly. Attack speed also is good for volatility if you want to go that route, and also some magic pen, essentially, or at least an item that gives you ignoring target resistances for abilities. So there's also that to consider, but power, mana, and definitely some magic pen is going to be vital on her. Some secondary stuff you can take looks at is mana regen, which is going to help her be able to use her abilities a little bit more freely and farm with them, harass them with them a little bit more freely, because she'll be able to recover with the mana regen. And attack speed is another investment you may want to consider on her, because it allows her to get off a lot of volatility stacks, which is going to allow her to proc her passive and the massive amount of damage it outputs a little bit more frequently. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the best way to level up Caprice's abilities. So Caprice has obviously 4 abilities you can level up, one of them being a passive, which is volatility. First we'll talk about the abilities. So her Q is Fire Logger, which she essentially sends out a barrel which does damage and then lights the trail afterwards, which does half the damage that the barrel does. Her W is going to be an anchor that drops on enemies. It is also going to temporarily stun them. Her E is actually a passive ability, so you don't have to worry about casting it or anything. It's just going to add stacks of volatility, and after 3 stacks of volatility, she does bonus magic damage. And her R is a little bit unique, because it actually charges up and has no cooldown. All her other abilities that she casts has cooldown, but really the only cooldown of her quick shot, which is going to be her R, or her ultimate ability, as its lovely, I suppose as it would be lovingly referred to, her ultimate ability is actually going to store 2 charges of quick shot, and then you can use them whenever you want to, assuming you have mana and assuming you have a charge of quick shot. And there is, in fact, no cooldown between them, so you can jump in and jump out pretty quickly, which, again, is a little bit of a tip and a trick, but we'll go into that a little bit later. Anyway, I found the most optimal way to optimize or to level up her abilities is going to be maxing the Q, because it's your most upfront damage, and it's pretty easy to hit, because the barrel rolls pretty fast, and you can in fact get approximately 150 times damage from it if they manage to take damage from the fire part as well. Then you're going to want to max her E, because the volatility stacking with the barrel just puts out a good chunk of magic damage all at once, and even though Caprice does basic attack a lot, she does also have that magic damage. And then obviously you're going to want to level up R when you can, because it is her ultimate ability. But after you max Q and max E, you're going to want to finally max W, and that'll be a nice little upfront damage as well. But obviously it has a little bit longer of a cooldown than the barrel, by like a second or two, and I believe it costs more to start out with, so you obviously don't want to be maxing the W and volatility. Like I said, having the volatility stacks proccing constantly is really good. Now, let's get into a few tips and tricks for Caprice. And the first one's going to be related to her volatility. So remember, volatility stacks with any damage you do, essentially, with your abilities or your basic attacks. So you can do 3 basic attacks, it'll proc it. You can do a basic attack and get both hits of Fire Logger off and it'll proc it. Or you can just completely go with abilities and they'll proc the bonus damage as well. Which makes Caprice output a lot more magic damage than she does physical damage. It also applies to her ultimate Quick Shot. And speaking of Quick Shot, a nice little thing that Quick Shot does is it does hop over terrain. So if you see your team is fighting someone but you're over the wall, just Quick Shot over, just make sure you're putting yourself not in total danger, because the way you want to build Caprice is like a squishy caster, essentially. So you're not going to really have any health, and I mean, you can build health, but then you output less damage, and I find the best way to build her is, again, with just tons of damage. Make her basically a caster carry. And also remember that Quick Shot has no cooldown, so you can actually activate it right after the animation's over. So you can jump in, and you can jump again if you're chasing someone. Or if you want to jump in, snag a quick kill over the wall, and then jump back over the wall to safety, you can also do that. A good thing to do is, because the W and the Fire Logger have a fairly short range compared to some other casters, a nice good thing to do is R in and then W, and then you're going to want to go ahead and put off a little Fire Logger to get additional damage, and then you can R out, or you can R and finish him off. So, I hope you guys did enjoy the Caprice guide. Remember, the best way to build her is to be basically a caster carry that has plenty of mana and plenty of power. Essentially, those are the 2 most essential stats for her. All the other stats that I talked about can be looked at after you worry about the mana and power. And also, remember to be leveling up that Fire Logger first, because it does give you the most free harass and the most damage up front. And lastly, with Caprice, don't forget about her passive Volatility, because that is going to output a lot of damage, especially in duels or just in team fights in general. So make sure to use Caprice wisely, as the way she should be built is pretty squishy. And hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like. And if you would be so kind, just let me know what hero you would like me to go over next. Otherwise, I'll just choose one at random. And if you guys did in fact enjoy, I will be doing more and more Strife videos, as in fact a lot of people aren't really getting into Strife, so I see opportunity to like put something I'm really enjoying right now out there. And if Strife gets big, then I get big with it. If not, hey, I'm enjoying making these Strife videos, and I hope it helps you guys out with some kind of Strife gameplay if you do decide to get into Strife. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys on the next Strife episode, or the next video in general. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.